How does a defense attorney win a DUI case where there's no alcohol involved, but it is instead marijuana in the system? The laws on marijuana have recently been relaxed in Virginia, as in much of the country, but it is still a crime to drive while intoxicated on marijuana, just as it is to drive while intoxicated on alcohol. So from the point of view of the defendant, the point of view of penalties and punishment, it's really no different than a DUI case with alcohol. But from the point of view of the defense attorney and the defenses involved, it's very different. Not only is it different, it's easier. Winning a DUI marijuana case is much easier than winning a DUI alcohol case. And one of the reasons for this is that alcohol and marijuana affect your system so differently. First of all, there is no breath test for marijuana. If the prosecution is going to prosecute someone for DUI marijuana, then they're going to have a blood test. And that blood test is going to be much less revealing than it might be with an alcohol test. And the reason for that is that alcohol is, first of all, well studied in the blood, but second of all, moves through the blood and through the body at a relatively known and consistent rate. And that is, you drink alcohol, it absorbs into your bloodstream, it affects your brain either a lot or a little, and then it leaves your bloodstream and it stops affecting your brain and you're done. Marijuana can remain in your system, or the metabolites of marijuana, that is what's left in your system after your system metabolizes the marijuana, can remain in your system for an extended period of time, weeks in some cases. So it becomes much more difficult based on a blood test for the prosecution to say how much marijuana you had or when you had it. Just as with alcohol, there is a per se limit. That is to say, there's an amount of alcohol or an amount of marijuana which, if they find it in your bloodstream, is by itself enough to convict you. But just as with alcohol, the state has to prove when you had that amount of marijuana in your system. And that's much more difficult to do with marijuana than it is to do with alcohol. Finally, there's the actual relevance of this. Most prosecutors, most police would like you to believe that marijuana has the same or a similar effect on your ability to drive as does alcohol. But the evidence simply doesn't support that. Scientific studies have repeatedly failed to show any significant effect on your ability to pay attention, your ability to safely drive, or your ability to safely operate a motor vehicle. Nonetheless, it is illegal. Now, I want to be clear, I am not recommending that anybody drive high. It's a stupid idea. Get an Uber, get a friend, get a designated driver. Don't drive drunk and don't drive high. But understand that if you have been charged with a DUI marijuana, you have a reasonable chance of winning that case. Prosecutors have an uphill battle. If you have a question about this or any other area of the law, feel free to give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you. And you have a great day.